Hi friends, hope you are doing fine. So as a part of our hybrid cloud journey RHEL 8, today we are going to discuss about logging service. Like in our data center, in our server environment, we have a lot of servers and we want a centralized logging service like if any servers is generated any kind of critical messages, that's log messages should log to the centralized host, and we can so that we can filter out all those logs from central host rather than going on to the individual log servers and checking all those logs, because there are a lot of benefits for making a syslog server. Once you make one central host and syslog server, you do not have to go to each and every host to check their logs. You can go on to centralized system. You can filter your logs from central server, and you can easily get all the messages, critical messages, severity wise, warnings, notice, or any kind of messages depending upon the configurations, whatever the configuration. Not only from the server, you can also get all those messages from any equipments or like network devices or any kind of messages from any host. You can configure and make one server as a syslog server, and you can generate the target machine so that you can target machine can send your logs to centralized host. So today we will have a proper implementation on this. We will make one server as a central host. We'll make another server as a client so that the client machine can send all their logs to central host, and so that we can easily filter out all those logs. So today we have a proper session particularly on the logging service. As you know that syslog is a great way to consolidate logs from multiple sources into a single location. A syslog listener needs to receive messages sent over the network. A listener process gathers syslog data over UDP and TCP packets. So a database, large networks can generate a huge amount of syslog data. Good syslog server will use a database to store syslog data for quick retrieval. You can also install a database so that you can store all those logs for future purpose. You can manage and filter using software. So that we can see today, like how we can make one centralized syslog server and how we can get all the logs filed from the client host to centralized host so that we can have a proper recording of all the logging messages. So you can see here in our data center network environments, we have a several equipments, servers, firewalls, routers. A lot of equipment is there. Every equipment is generating some log files. We, we need to record all those log files to centralized host syslog server, so that we can filter rather than going on to each and every equipment of data center. We can get all the log file in centralized host, and we can easily filter all the logs file. It will save your time, it will save your money, it will save a lot of outages, it will save a lot of troubleshooting tickets. We can get on one centralized host, we can generate a lot of reports. So this is the main benefits we have. So we will see today how to make one server as a centralized host, and from the client host we will generate a log file, and it will all the log file will be reflected on the centralized host. That we will see today in how we can make a good RSY syslog service on hybrid cloud RHEL 8 that we are going to see today. So here you know that syslog is having some priorities. What kind of severity priority tickets you want to generate? You want to get all the files. You want emergency conditions such as imminent system crash, broadcast to all users, alert, and condition that should be corrected immediately, such as corrupted system database, critical conditions such as a hardware error, ordinary error, warning, notice, informational message, debug message. So depending upon the priority, you can set your priority so that you can only get all those log messages, because generating a log message is take a disk space, take a lot of uh, mm, things on the network also. So if administrator wants that I want only emergency critical messages, not warning, not war notice, not info, not debug, nothing. I want only for emergency critical alert messages to be logged on the syslog server. That you can do. You can set your priorities in centralized host, and you can make your syslog server depending upon by setting syslog priorities that you can do. And what exactly the logging action? Log messages to a file or device. Everything is logged under the var log file, or the console file, or boot log messages, or any kind of auth log messages. So all these log file you are getting from the local host. But what about the other host? So how we can bring all those client machine into the centralized host, and how we can check all those logger with the logger command. You can check, you can filter out the syslog messages using, and this means that you can check from the command line at any time in the syslog take command. So today we will logging action means in central server, in the syslog server, we will bring all client machine log, and we will do all these configuration today in the syslog file. So we have seen like what exactly the syslog servers, how syslog server is transferring all those TCP packet log files on TCP packets, UDP packets. All these logs, client machine log, will be transferred to centralized host from UDP packets and TCP packets, and we will collect all those log file and store it on centralized host, and we will filter all those logs. We will check whether that particular things is working on that, and we will also manage and filter all those logs that we can generate here. And you can filter how we will check, how we will log the action, how we will filter out all those things that we are going to see today as a part of our journey. So as you know that we have a two server. This is the server. I will make this server as a central host. Let me log out. I will give you the overview. So this is my central host, and cockpit is already configured. Web console is already configured over here. So now, and I will make another server as a client. So this will be my client machine. 10. So 10 will be my client machine. Here cockpit is not configured. So you can see that. So everything, this will be my client machine. This will be my client machine, and this will be my centralized syslog server. I will make this server as a centralized syslog server. So now, in order to configure syslog services, we need to install the appropriate packages from repository. So that we are going today now. So what exactly we have to install all the dependencies and all the syslog. So better to update your servers before installing syslog so that you can get the latest package. I already updated, so I'm just installing the appropriate package right now. I'm installing syslog, RSY syslog, so that it can filter out all their dependencies from the servers. So right now it's trying to pulling all those appropriate packages from the subscription management repositories. So it will update. So it will take some time. So in this here, I have to also install in the client machine also. In the client machine, we will also install this one. So after installing this client machine, see here you can see that this is my Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. So installing RSY requires two dependencies. These two dependencies will also get installed while installing the syslog services. So that's why while installing all those things, you should update your server before going for a syslog, making servers as a syslog service. So now I'm installing these two packages. It will take some time right now. Right now it's installing right now in the server, client server machine, and the client machine also we need to install. So here I will make installing the client in the client machine also. So right now, these two packages is getting installed on server as well as a client machine. So I'm making one server as a server centralized host where all the log files will be kept, where all the log files will keep all these log files on centralized host node 1 will keep all those log files here. And here also our package installation has been completed. So once you install these packages, will generate some configuration file. So you can see here our configuration file etc rsy configuration generated here. So we will look at this configuration first of all, because we have to modify some configurations here. First of all, let us understand what exactly it is. Here you know that all the syslog configuration file is having some predefined modules, predefined rules. So you can see here the logger, you can uh, provide support to the local system, because syslog is taking the logs from the local system as well as from the remote systems. So this log file, these modules will collect all the log files from the system logging services, and we have to also make the server as a centralized host. So how this server will collect all those log files from the remote host? So they will collect the log files from the network traffic like TCP and UDP. So right now it's TCP and UDP is not enabled. So I have to enable these services. You can see the modules of TCP packets. If you want to store others client machine log, so how the client machine will send the traffic? They will send the traffic using this port. TCP packets and UDP packets will be sent on this port 514. So this port, the client machine will send all their logs file to central host. So now we are providing UDP syslog reception, because UDP is a connectionless. We need to enable both the packets, UDP as well as TCP, so that we can get all the packet, because TCP is connection oriented, UDP is connectionless. So both these modules you need to enable here in the central host. So here I am enabling both the TCP as well as UDP, so that it can collect all the log files. And you know that here once you enable these modules UDP and this TCP, it will start accepting all those logs from the client machine. So here, what exactly we have to do in the global directives, in the rules section, we will tell our centralized host that we want to log all client machines. So here, if you provide syslogs, so what exactly we have to define? We have to define these file path in the centralized host that I will explain here. What exactly I'm doing? I'm saying that all the log file we should keep in var log host and their host name, because in our data center we have a several hosts. So how do we filter? How do we know that these logs generated by these hosts? So we have given the percentage host name, so that while once the client machine will send their logs, they will also send their names as well, and they will keep all these log file under centralized path var log host file. And so what exactly we did here? So, and how this client machine will send their packets? They will send the packets using TCP and UDP packets. So here, client machine will send all their packets, UDP packets on 514 and TCP packets also on the same ports, so that we can collect all those log files and keep all those log files under central path var log host file. Here in this var log host file, it will be kept, and will see their name as well, host name as well. So these configuration, the server configuration, centralized syslog configuration, I already completed. Now, what exactly we have to see? What exactly the log file you want? Priority, what is your priorities? I want to send mail log files also. I want to send secure log file also. I want to send all my log messages file also. I want to send my dev console log file also. So here I kept the console file uncomment. That means it will not send. But apart from other var log messages file, log secure file, malloc file, cron log file, everything will be sent from the client machine to centralized host. Here, boot log file. So I am setting all my priorities over here. And once we set in our client machine, we do not have to do any configuration. We just need to define our remote host port number IP, and all their log files will be sent via TCP and UDP packets and kept under this log file, where log host file, so that we can filter out all those log file from the client machine. So server configurations we have completed over here. Now we need to enable and restart the service. So now what exactly we have to do? We have to check the RSY log files, what exactly it is there. So let me give you the more information on that. Here you can see the platform release, whatever the supports we are having, 32 bits, everything, and it will config file is in just like file. There's PID file, every information you can gather from the RS file, like versions files, everything it will be correct. And this is the versions we are having here. So now we need to enable the service and start the service also. So let me first of all check the service, whether service is working or not. Right now you say it's dead. So we need to enable the service first of all. Now we have to start the service. Now we have to check the service. So here some errors got generated over here. We need to check why this error got generated. You have to check all those things first of all. So we need to check all those log files here. So we'll go inside and we will have to check whether what exactly the errors, why these errors got generated. So here I can see some mishappening is happened here. So here we have to, because X is not required here. And the space, actually we need to remove the space as well. So if you, we have to check again, we have to restart the service again, and let me see whether that so now you can see that error is not appearing right now. That means our setup is ready. Now our syslog, centralized syslog is running and completed here. Now on the client machine, we, you know that what is my IP? This is my IP, centralized host machine IP. We have configured the IP 33.11, that is each one, and we need to check on from the client host whether our, we have a proper communication or not. So we have to check 192.168, that 33.11. And one more configuration you need to do from the server side. If your firewall and ASCII Linux is enabled, then you need to give the, like modify the configuration on your firewall. And so right now you can see that my syslog, whatever the ports we have enabled, whether the communication is there or not. So here you can see that connection is weak. Connection is through my client machine can send the traffic, their logs using TCP port and UDP port. Now we have to also tell our syslinux, ASCII Linux, that I am going to enable these two ports so that they can accept the traffic. ASCII Linux, we have to tell ASCII Linux that these ports is enabled. Then they will accept the traffic. Otherwise, they will not accept the traffic because the traffic will be blocked by syslog, ASCII Linux, and firewall. So we have to enable these ports as well. So we have to tell our firewall service that these service you need to add and enable these two service. So you have to tell your firewall CMD permanent that we need to add this port in service, so that it will be added. So here we need to check all those. So here you need to tell all those services. If firewall is enabled, then you can, it will be accepted all those. So now my client was mains and our server host is ready to accept the traffic. Now what exactly we have to do? One more configuration we have to do. Once we generate the file, the log rotate configuration file will check whether that where to enable, where to keep these log file. So let me check. We have a syslog here. We will go inside the syslog and we will tell our machine, server machine, that apart from taking this log prawn mail log messages, secure and spooler messages, also kept all log machine, all the log file you should kept under this path var log host, so that all the client machine will keep all their log file under var log host on this path. So once you done all those things, after that you need to restart the service and you need to check whether any kind of error is coming. If you have errors, you need to troubleshoot all those errors and you need to remediate all those errors, rectify these things. After that you can configure client machine. So right now you can see my active service is running fine. We do not have any issues here right now in the central server. My syslog server is ready right now. Now we need to configure client machine. So here we have another server over here and my connection is established over here. I can ping my server. So I need to send my all log messages to my centralized syslog server through UDP and TCP packets. So now again, I already installed my packages over here. rpm-q rsy log. I already installed here. It's already installed. So we'll check whether that didn't install or not. If it is installed, it will give the message properly. So here in the centralized server, it's already installed. So it's already installed. I just installed it. So now I will go to the client machine here, RSY, same path. Here I do not have to do any configuration right now. In the client machine, we will just tell that just send all your log file to the target host. We do not require any configuration. We just mention the IP of target host and we will say using wildcards, I want that all logs you send to centralized host. So here I am going on to that and I am going and configuring my log host here. So this is my 192.168.33.11 is my centralized host IP, and I am sending my all log files to this host. Now if I will save this file and restart my service, so we need to check the status whether we got any kind of error file. No errors have came. So now what we will do testing whether my all log files is going to centralized host or not. So for testing purpose, we have to send the logger commands. You see, I'm sending to my centralized host. We are sending the test messages to here. I'm going to from client. So I am sending all those test messages over here, and we will check whether my log files is getting or not. How do we check? What is the path we have given? We have given var log host. We will check whether, see, our all log files, client machines, and as well as local machine, everything is kept under on this whole like host name file. So here you can see I will go to the RHEL8 here, the other host, and I will check whether we are getting all those log file or not. So here see, we are getting all those log file. So that means whatever the client machine you are configuring, you need to provide the central syslog server IP so that they can send all their traffic to central host syslog server. And now you can see not only they are taking all the log file, cron log file, user log file, syslog file. You can see all those log file here, the logs, whatever the logs they are having, var log messages, auth log file, everything, whatever the things we have enabled, everything will be sent here. In the client machine also you have to set the priorities. If you want to send these file, if you're here you can see that priorities, whatever the priorities we are having here. So in the client machine we have mentioned the IP, but we have to tell also that these log files I want to enable. So you need to send all those priorities, kernel log files, if additional log files, application log files you can also send, but you need to mention over in the log file. After that, these all things will be sent to centralized host using TCP and UDP packets, and your central server will keep all those log file inside where log host file here in this path. So apart from that, it will also keep their own log files also in the same path. So you see all those log file will be kept over here. So you can see that UDP query packets is coming over here. UDP query packets resolved, resolved. So where these packets is coming, these all packets is coming from the client machine, and it will be stored on centralized host syslog server. So this is the main things we are having. So how system log files communicate with central host, how it will generate all those log files. We have seen that, and today we also, so the main thing as a part of our Habit Cloud journey, we have seen how syslog communicate all those client machine with TCP and UDP packets, how we can manage and filter softwares also. So apart from that, if you will go over here, uh, these log files, what I'm telling over here, our client machines in syslog file, we can go to that file. And here also you can check, filter all those log files in the client machine, in server machine. Here we have a cockpit installed. We can monitor all those logs filed from the centralized host. Yesterday I already configured, so here you can see in the logs sections, all the logs we can reflect over here as syslog file. You can see here. We can easily filter all the errors, whatever the things which is coming from the other host, we can filter out. We can check all those log file over here. Last 7 days, last 24 like. So filtering of the log files will be very smooth after configuring syslogs centralized host. We can, so here you can see that file, whatever the UDP packets, TCP packet is coming, all those file, it will be checked. You can see here how it is sending the traffic to centralized host, UDP query packets. All these files, configuration files, you can easily filter out from the syslog using cockpit. So now we have seen like how we can configure a syslog target server and client machine, and how it is communicating over the network using from TCP and UDP packets, and how we can test using the logger command. And we have to set our priorities and descriptions, and we can gather all those log file and keep all those log file in the central host that we have seen. So I hope that this lesson is useful for everyone. So I'm closing this session right now. Thanks for watching.